Yes, we are seeing double this week. Kind of. We'll do a twist on it, but it's all about twins in horror movies. Welcome. This is the Fright Club Podcast.
I'm Hope Madden.
And I am George Wolf. We're from madwolf.com. And Wolf is the odd man out this week because we welcome our senior twin correspondent from the wilds of Vermont. It's Hope's twin sister, Joy.
Hello.
Good to have you. I don't know. You think we sound a lot alike. I wonder if people will know which one of us is talking.
Should one of you talk in a funny voice?
Joy, can you talk in a funny voice?
Maybe. You got any helium on hand? Suck some helium while you're talking about these movies.
I think I have a slightly more nasal twang than Hope does, so I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Well, plus she's going through the Skype feed, so it's a little, it's a little tunnel.
All right.
So I think we'll be able to tell them apart. But this should be interesting. We'll get the actual twin perspective on these twin movies. It's our top 5, right?
Yeah.
Top 5 twin horror. And some of them, maybe you can probably guess, but some I don't think so. But before we do that, we got to go back because we got some great feedback last week about our werewolf countdown.
That's right. A lot of happy birthdays to George.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it, as always. But it was not what we expected because we talked about last week expecting to get a lot of darts for leaving out The Howling. And we really didn't. Maybe one.
Yeah, I was really surprised. The one that people were really unhappy that, even though we mentioned Late Phases, which is a fairly relatively new film, that it didn't actually make the list.
Yeah, Late Phases has some fans. You're not one of them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, everybody sees it differently. But the one that we have to just cry guilty is that we somehow forgot Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Yes, with one of our all-time favorites, Vincent Cassel.
Yes.
We love him.
Who we just saw in Partisan the other night, which is his latest,
really
which is cool.
Good.
Not really a horror movie, but a little creepy, a little thriller. Pretty good. But I'd like to say that we left that out on purpose so we could get the feedback.
But no, we just totally missed it.
But we just totally missed it.
We got busted by Sean. I love his tag at Colossal Bandit. That's awesome.
I love their first album. After that, Colossal Bandit totally lost me. But no, and what did he bust us on?
Yeah, the Brotherhood of the Wolf. He was the one who said, I can't believe it's not on there.
Yeah, and I can't believe it either.
French film at its weirdest, he said, which is so true.
Yeah. What it was, I think we were just drunk from the birthday parties. That's going to be my alibi. But no, that is a cool one. I remember seeing that. That is a cool one.
It is.
So thank you for all the feedback for that as well. We love getting that feedback, even when you point out that we were asleep at the switch, as we were. But we hope we are not going to be this week as we talk about the top twins in horror movie.
But you know what? We want to take a second. You want to take a second, talk about the new one we just saw?
Yeah, we have to. Thank you. Because the new horror movie out this week is Eli Roth's The Green Inferno. And it's funny it's Eli Roth because I guess it was because we were waiting on this movie, but just a couple of weeks ago, I joined a little discussion online on Facebook, on the Columbus Facebook page. Just somebody threw out there, what do you think of Eli Roth? And I'll tell you what, it escalated quickly.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
It did. And a lot of really polarizing comments. You had to keep your head on a swivel, let me tell you that right now, because a lot of polarizing comments about Eli Roth. I am not a fan, really. I mean, Hostel 2, okay, that seems to be the one that gets the most love. But anyway, Green Inferno is the latest. We didn't care for it.
No, we did not. You know, he's making basically, sort of the jungle cannibal movie that was kind of popular is the wrong word for it, but there was
infamous maybe.
Yeah, there was a group of them that came out, mostly Italian filmmakers in the late 70s, early 80s. Ruggero Deodato's infamous Cannibal Holocaust, probably the most famous of them. And he's revisiting that subgenre, which, has been left alone for many a year. And the thing is that it's not a great area to sort of wade into. And a lot of it, it's not just that it's so unpleasant. It just didn't date well. It just doesn't date well. It doesn't update well. But the other thing, the main thing for me is that what they used to do was simply push the envelope to the most extreme as far as you can push it. As a lot of people know, actually, for Cannibal Holocaust, they killed a number of animals, including a giant tortoise on screen. I mean, they just were pushing it as far as they could.
There's the legendary story that he had to produce the one actress in court to prove she was still alive.
Yeah. the thing about this is that you can't do those things anymore, and he doesn't do those things anymore. So if you're not really familiar with sort of the jungle cannibal genre, you probably will be sort of grossed out by this, and maybe that's what you're looking for. But if you are familiar with it, it's like neutered. It's like a neutered version. And so I'm not really sure the point. It's not scary. It's gross, but it's not gross enough. It's just not very good.
Yeah, if you're a fan of that, and some people are, because I saw some comments from the people that were at the same screening we were last night, that it's fun for them. They liked it. Okay, if that's your bag. I don't find it scary or thrilling at all. There's a lot of, body chopping up and entrails and skinning alive and all that stuff and cannibalism. I didn't find it worthwhile at all. The acting is atrocious. The directing's bad. The production elements were kind of weak as far as I thought. And to me, just nothing at all worthwhile. But if you're, if you're a fan of that and Eli
I think
Roth,
also,
go for it.
Both of us were a little baffled by the humor in it.
Yeah, the humor and the attempt at social commentary, it was pretty weak. Just all in all, and I think also bordered on some misogyny.
Yeah, certainly
just kind
ethnocentric.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, kind of a mess. So not thumbs up by any means from us, but if you want to check it out, if you're a fan, it's Eli Roth's latest Green Inferno in the theaters this weekend. All right, so it's twins. It's all about the twins. Joy, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I know you've been doing your homework. You've had to throw yourself into this, and how'd you feel about the entire assignment?
It's really nice to binge watch horror movies on a beautiful sunny day. I know that, but it's a good time.
I like that. I like the enthusiasm, and we're going to jump in one that's pretty famous. I think it might jump to a lot of horror fans top of mind when you talk about the twin movies, and that is from 1982. It's Basket Case.
What is the secret Dwayne is hiding in the basket?
What's in the basket? Easter eggs?
What's in the basket?
My brother.
Open it, if you dare. Basket Case.
This movie is just fun. I mean, it's just fun. It's not good. It's not well done. It's not well produced, but it's just fun. And the director, Frank Henenlotter, right? He also did Frankenhooker, same thing. It's not a good movie, but it's just fun. I dare you not to find that movie fun. And Brain Damage, I mean, he's got a knack for low budget horror comedies, and Basket Case is my favorite of the three, probably because it's about twins. And Belial, what a great name is that? Belial in the basket, and his super clean cut, wholesome, recently unjoined twin brother Dwayne, and they go to this seedy motel in New York, and they're on a vengeance trek. They're going to find the doctor, and they're going to try to get back together. And Belial is just mad, and he's killing people. He's just crawling out of his basket and killing people. But Dwayne falls in love, so that's problematic. And it's a pretty simple storyline. The effects are terrible. I mean, it's just a silly film, but it's pretty gory and bloody, and it's actually at times kind of effective. You're like, oh, don't go in there with the laundry. What are you doing?
And just like you and Joy, they're not identical twins.
No. We kept Joy in a basket for years.
Tried to.
Yeah, and this one for me, it reminded me of Reanimator. Just in the tone.
Yep. I can see that.
Yeah, and I remember at the time, because 82, I was, I think, junior in high school. And I remember at the time, the buzz was to get a look at it, to get a look at the monster inside the box. What did he look like? That was the big thing, back then. And I'm with you. The name is cool. Of course, you see it today, and you think of what's in the box. What's in the box?
Oh yeah,
because they're talking about what's in the basket. But yeah, Basket Case. You wouldn't call it a horror comedy, but it has comedic elements, I think.
Oh, I think it's funny.
Would you call it a straight out horror comedy?
I think so. Yeah.
Would you really? Okay.
I think all of his films are comedies. It's gross, certainly, and I think in certain instances it's just funny because it's just a sort of so badly done.
Yeah.
But it's not one of those that it's painful to watch. He has quite a style given the parameters that he's working under. Yeah, I mean, I think it's incredibly enjoyable.
Okay. You probably enjoyed it a little bit more than I did, but that's that's usual. But one that you wanted to talk about in relation to this that we loved, right, was Twin Falls, Idaho.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those the conjoined twin idea, the Siamese twin idea. And Twin Falls, Idaho is not a horror film. It is creepy. It came out in 1999, and is it Mark and Michael Polish are actual twins, and they wrote and directed this film, and they play Siamese twins, and it's just. It's sad. It's kind of goth. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not a horror film. They're in this small town and they're going to go get the surgery. And one of the two twins is quite ill, which is why they're going to try to have the surgery. And I think it plays on a lot of the same anxieties that, well, actually, most horror films that involve twins play on the separation anxiety. Certainly the conjoined twin idea does. But it's just lovely, really. I mean, it's weird in the best sort of 90s indie movie weird way.
Yeah. It's got a very almost surreal atmosphere to it. It's got crazy-eyed Leslie Ann Warren in there as well. And we enjoyed it. It's very, subtle. It's mysterious.
It is.
And
kind of sweet, actually.
Yeah, but really
sweet
good.
Love story.
And you just threw at me some trivia just last night about one of these guys, one of the actual twins, is married now to
Kate Bosworth.
Kate Bosworth.
Yeah.
Had no idea. And are they still working in films, the twins? Are they?
Actually, one of the two of them stars in this god-awful movie I just saw called Some Kind of Hate.
Oh,
and I
okay.
remember thinking to myself, what is he doing in this? I don't even, what are you doing here? But
yeah, so
there he
it's
was.
not a horror film, but we enjoyed Twin Falls, Idaho. And of course, we have a long history with American Horror Story.
Right, it's like the only TV show we've ever watched. I mean, we haven't watched a TV show in years, but we watched that.
And we did podcasts about it for a while.
Yeah, we used to.
And they had, just in the Freak Show series, they had the...
conjoined twins.
Conjoined
Siamese twins, yeah.
But it was more of just a body with two heads, really.
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah, Sarah
Paulson, who's always great.
Yeah.
And it was just, I think that it's impressive when one person can define two separate characters that still are obviously dependent on each other. I mean, they're separate, but they're, you know what I mean? Like, she didn't create two weirdos that you can't understand. I mean, they're separate characters, but they act like sisters, and they're just like sisters who are stuck together and can never get away from each other. I just think she did a great job.
We're going to watch the new American Horror Story? We haven't decided yet.
I don't think Jessica Lange is on it.
I know, that's a disappointment. Anyway, that was all kind of in the same vein of our number 5 movie, which is Basket Case from 1982. But we're moving on
to another one. Is you see what happens when you split up conjoined twins. Problems.
From 1973. It's Brian De Palma's Sisters.
Sisters. They were once one in body, and perhaps one in mind. Danielle and Dominique. One loving, one hating, one innocent, the other...
Remember.
What the devil hath joined together, let no man cut asunder.
That's right. So this is Margot Kidder at her best, I think. She was sporting a French-Canadian accent, and I think it was a fun movie, I mean, it was weird. It has a lot of De Palma split screening in it, and it's like you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on and realize there's something amiss from the get-go. It's very creepy. There's a lot of creepy characters in it. You kind of know I felt like I kind of knew where it was going, but you don't quite know how it's going to get there.
Yeah, it's funny. This was the first De Palma movie where his obsessions started to show. Prior to this movie, he really hadn't done a thriller or a horror film yet, and this is really the first one. And, you can see elements in this movie that he carries out for really most of the rest of his career. This is the first one where you just really see the I love Hitchcock. It's just all over this movie, the score and the split screen. And then it's also, and as he would go on, I think that he developed a style that he indulged something that I don't particularly care for, which is really sexualizing violence, which to me is more sort of an Italian influence that sort of fed into the Hitchcock love. But in this one, I think it's a bit prior to that. I mean, there's sex going on and it ends up in death, but it's different. It's different than his other movies. And there's also, there's like the weird medical angle, and it's it's a murder mystery, so it's. I mean, there are clues, and I mean, it's not a great movie, but he's got a style and he's got talent in the cast, and it holds together. I think it's aged well.
Well, and that's 1973, so that's how early in De Palma's film resume was this?
It was pretty early. He's got some shorts prior to that, and he's got one or two TV movies and maybe a feature, but nothing anybody had ever really seen. This was the one that got him Carrie. This is the film that got him, the green light to direct Carrie. So It was a big deal.
Well, and I think you're being more polite there than a lot of people have been over the course of De Palma's career, just saying it's Hitchcock love. I mean, he's been accused outright of just ripping Hitchcock off left and right.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but we just talked about Eli Roth, and he's made a career of the same thing. He just picks and chooses different people each time.
Yeah, that's fair point. Well, Sisters from 1973 now, when you talk about sisters and twins in horror, a lot of people's, including mine, idea goes right to the twins in The Shining.
They're the best set. There's no question about it. And I'm going to tell you, the only reason The Shining isn't on this list is because the film is not about them, right? Every movie on this list is about the twins. The fact that they are twins is the point of the film. So otherwise, clearly, The Shining is a superior movie to anything else on this list.
Yeah.
And they're also the best twins. They're super creepy. You know, they're little kids. They're trying to lure another little kid on. I think they just won his awesome big wheel, I think. And also, correct me if you think I'm wrong, Joy, they look the most like Joy and me, and I'm pretty sure we used to have that dress.
They do look the most like us, though. I think I kind of look like Margot Kidder a little bit, but...
Wow.
I think the thing about The Shining is that is the best movie, and they are the creepiest, but in all of the other movies, the twins are the mystery. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole thing, trying to figure this whole thing out. And I was thinking about that, the scene with the twins in The Shining, and it just wouldn't have been, there's something inherently creepy about twins. And so it wouldn't have been as creepy if it was just one kid luring Danny.
Right.
You know?
No.
It needed to be twins.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and there was somebody that sounded an awful lot like me just last week that said twins were inherently creepy. And you jumped down my throat.
You can't say it. She can say it. We're twins. We can say it. You can't say it.
True.
We have to set these guidelines, and I'm feeling at a disadvantage. But yeah, that's because I brought that up when we were assembling this list, whether that did qualify as a twins movie, because they're such a iconic part of that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And did you see, I know that was making the rounds on the internet here a few months ago, maybe last year, where they had a reunion and a picture of those women today.
Yeah.
It was a hoot just to see them now. They're just grinning, just smiling, getting together, you know, back at the reunion. Very, very cool.
I'd love to get to know them.
Of course, Shining, very well known, but one that I hadn't heard of that you also threw in here under the heading of Sisters was called Seconds Apart.
Yeah, you know what? It's two boys. It's twin boys. It's not a great movie. It goes sort of Twilight Zone-y. You remember the Twilight Zone movie, the episode that has Bart Simpson in it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the voice of Bart Simpson.
Right,
You're talking,
right.
Yeah, in the movie, The Twilight Zone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the one where whatever the evil person thinks happens.
Yeah.
So this is basically more or less the same plot, except the evil person is a set of twins, and they're little boys, and Orlando Jones is the police officer who's trying to figure out what's going on, and you're just doomed because not only are they creepy twins with really bad intentions, but they can just make things happen with their minds. So it's not a great movie, but it's creepy. It is, especially when you see what happened to their parents, and I mean, it's effective in the same way that Twilight Zone episode is effective. I mean, It's a little creepy and weird.
But no Bart Simpson.
No.
Okay. Because then you'd have had me. You'd have had me with Bart Simpson. Well, that's, I hadn't heard of that one, Seconds Apart from 2011. But going on to number 3, one that is very well known, and we talked about just a couple of episodes ago.
Medical horror.
Medical horror, yeah, from 1988. Cronenberg's Dead Ringers.
By every scientific measure, they are absolutely the same. They share everything.
You haven't had any experience until I've had it too.
Doctor, you've cured me. You mean to say there's 2 of them? They're twins, dear.
For working on mutant women. Radical technology was required. Something radical is definitely required.
Dead Ringers.
Separation can be a terrifying thing.
Is part of Cronenberg's long history of body image issues, body horrors.
Right there, just Cronenberg plus Jeremy Irons equals yes, please. I mean, I love those two, and they're gynecologists, which we mentioned the last time. Is that Cronenberg has said he doesn't consider this a horror movie, and the fact that he made them mentally deteriorating gynecologists who eventually create their own instruments. No, he's wrong. It is a horror movie, and Jeremy Irons just does such a beautiful job of creating 2 completely different characters who have a relation, you know what I mean? It's like he created a character and another character in a relationship, and he understood the relationship enough that he could like express the relationship against himself. I mean, it's really people who can play twins, 2 different characters in the same scene. It's impressive, and he does a great job. And then as their sort of descent into madness, it's like it starts off. You know, their names are Elliot and Beverly, and right there, it's like the weak one is named Beverly. You're like, oh, Beverly. And then as one deteriorates, the other almost sympathetically deteriorates as well. It's like he can't keep him well, and he would rather just go into craziness with his brother than try to survive without him.
Well, twins have that connection, do they not?
Yeah.
You feel pain across the miles when Joy stubs her toe, don't you?
I've become more crazy as Hope has, just out of school over the years. You know, the thing that intrigued me about it, I thought Jeremy Irons was amazing in it. And just the whole strangeness about the love interest who was a mutant, that because they were gynecologists, they realized that she was not built correctly as a woman, and that they had the artist make, I think Beverly had the artist make gynecological instruments to be able to work on her. Just this whole perverse, crazy, subplot about this kind of mutant woman that they were both kind of vying for really stuck with me. Just the strangeness of the whole world that he made in that movie.
Yeah, Cronenberg is a freak, isn't he? And I mean that in the best possible way.
I knew that was coming.
He's got such a fixation with just corporeal horror, and you just see like the human body, and he looks at it in such a medical way, in a way that's different than other filmmakers, I think.
Very clinical.
Well, does it that way, it almost seems normal, like it's almost believable, which makes it more horrifying. Like it's not so strange. The way he tackles it makes it seem, feasible. And so that seems more horrifying.
Yeah, I could see that. And the thing about Jeremy Irons, we were just talking about, who else has pulled this off. And I was not familiar with Armie Hammer prior to The Social Network, and he plays the Winklevi. And honest to God, when they came up for the Oscar and there was just one of him, I was like, wait a minute, it's not a huge part, but it's pretty big, and he really convincingly plays two different people.
He really does.
It's impressive.
It was extremely impressive.
I said I wasn't familiar with the actor at the time either, and I thought it was twins.
None of us have seen it yet, but we're all eager to see Legend, because Tom Hardy. If anybody can pull it off, it's Tom Hardy.
Well, you're not kidding. And when does that come out? Is that this year?
November.
Okay, good. So we're looking forward to that from Legend. So Dead Ringers was number 3, and that moves it up to one of our favorites here from just a couple of months ago. And at least it's just coming out this weekend here in Columbus, correct?
Yep.
And it's Good Night, Mommy.
Mama.
This was a very stylish movie, beautiful to look at, very creepy, and just has you wondering what the hell is going on. No one is normal. No one is acting like as they should. So you just really, or you're in it till the end to figure out what the heck is going on. And it's just really beautiful and creepy and just gets under your skin.
It does. You know, it's a gorgeous, it's Austrian countryside, and it's just, this bucolic farm, and you see these little boys, and they're like on a trampoline in the rain, or and then you realize that the mom is actually not home during the whole beginning. You're like, what? Why are these boys home alone? And then when the mom comes home, she's just had plastic surgery on her face, and so her face is all bandaged up, and the boys convince themselves that she's not really their mother. And the thing about it is that, she's not right. And you don't know why. And you think maybe she's not their mother. And then it just spirals into these really weird directions. And even if you think you know where it's going, you really don't. You don't truly. And it just packs a wallop by the end.
Yeah, and it has some great visual pieces. When the boys put those masks on, there is these large insects involved.
Yeah, what is the deal with those?
And it's very, they're very isolated. There's not many other people in this movie at all. They're way out. And as you said, the countryside, the landscape visuals are great. The direction is very, very flowing, very poetic almost at times. And, we don't want to give away too much here because it's just coming out. But I'll tell you, I've had more people come up to me and ask me about this movie. This really has a groundswell of interest in this movie. And I'm hoping that really translates to some nice box office for it, because it seems to me like a lot of people are really itching to see it.
Yeah, and as well they should. I mean, you just don't get a really great horror movie that often.
I think it has a great trailer. I mean, it really, as soon as I saw the trailer, I couldn't wait to see the movie. And I think that when you see the movie, the soundtrack is so creepy and so stark, and it's next to this otherwise beautiful scene that it's tipping you off that it's not you don't know what's going on, that it's not what it looks like. So there's just this menacing feeling of something not right from the get-go, even though it looks lovely. And yeah, the mom gets home and she never quite acts like a mother, which is a very creepy, jarring thing, like for a mother to just not be particularly loving or caring, and you don't quite know who's mad or what's up, and I kept flip-flopping through the whole thing, trying to figure out which one of them was off and which one of them was good.
Very effective. And the two boys, Lucas and Elias Schwartz, are great.
They really are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're very cat-like, I thought. Like, they didn't move like regular kids. Like, there was just something otherworldly about them. And I love the way it was shot, because one would show up in a doorway and then like a second later the other one would. Like, it was just really kind of inhuman the way they were moving, which just added to the tension and just, not knowing what was coming, what was next.
That's a good point. And also, there's not a whole lot much else we can say because we don't want to give away too many spoilers, just that it's well worth seeing because it's number 2 on our list, Goodnight Mommy. And that leads up to number 1 that I haven't seen, so you'll clue me in. And this goes all the way back to 1972 for The Other.
The generations were rich with love, and the most beloved of all were the twins. For the fairies of New England, terrible things began to happen that summer.
Tell me, what is it like?
Cold. There have been all the others. Now there is the other.
Alice, where is the baby?
It's another one you don't want to say too much about, and it's another one that is just beautiful to look at. It was directed by Robert Mulligan, who directed To Kill a Mockingbird, and he enlists kind of a lot of the same, it's black and white as well, a lot of the same rural landscape, sort of hometown, homey, beautiful, and good, hardworking folk, and just actually very similar to Goodnight Mommy. There's something off. Something about this is not right. And one of the twin boys is very worried about his brother because his brother keeps getting both of them into a lot of trouble. And the matriarch of the family, she's constantly worried about the twin who's telling on his brother. And her daughter, his mother, is in some sort of a catatonic yet lucid state in a bedroom because her husband, the twin's father, is dead. And so is a baby brother, and now so is a farmhand, and now so is the neighbor across the street. And, it's like, and as the body count rises, this farm family, they just spend the whole time still just be like, there's still a cow to be milked. There's still a pie in the oven. They're just like, move forward and survive and thrive. And the whole movie is very much like, or stop and ask yourself, what in the hell is going on? It's, I just think that it makes a really great statement about sort of the American work ethic and, you know what I mean? Like that down home pride and that there is something beneath the surface in this area that nobody is checking out and they need to. And it's great performances and it's just a gorgeous movie. And John Ritter, a young John Ritter, is dating one of the sisters in the household, which is just weird. You're just watching it wrong and like, oh, it's John Ritter.
How can he do that when he's pretending to be gay? Oh, wait, was something else.
It's so wholesome. That's what's creepy to me about it, is that it's just these clean-cut, hardworking, like Midwestern American, lovely people, and all of this weird stuff is going on, and they're not really addressing it. But, the body count just increases through this movie, and you can't figure out what the heck is going on. And the wholesomeness, I think even more than Goodnight Mommy, which was gorgeous, but it wasn't really ever wholesome.
Right.
But it looked like it was the Midwest and just this like lovely farm family, very close, very loving, this grandmother, who's very caring. And it just added to like what is happening. It just made it seem all the more tragic as it continued.
I think it kind of similar to a movie that I just love called The Reflecting Skin where they use this sheen of bucolic beauty and wholesomeness to just get at the concept of the unwholesomeness underneath that you're just not really paying attention to. And it does. It's like off-putting. It's like unsettling.
And in doing some research, looking up this movie, I noticed a lot of love for the two brothers, the actors that play the twins.
They're great. And it's so often, it's the kids in the movie, especially I would say like in the 70s and 80s, they weren't strong performances. And it kind of like there's the movie The Bad Seed, a famous movie, The Bad Seed, one of the early evil children movies, which is a fun movie and actually very subversive. But the lead performance is so grating that you just can't take it seriously. Where in this case, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce their last name, is Chris and Martin Yudvarnaki. They're just really wonderful. And they have, unlike the boys in Goodnight Mommy, these kids are like stout, German ancestry, again, just wholesome farm kids. And it gives them sort of a sense of innocence about them when they're moving around. And you worry for them that what's happening at the farm and what are you sort of getting around and what are you getting into and what's going to happen to you? And where's Grandma Uda? Where's Grandma Uda? Why isn't she bringing you in from the barn right now? It just does a great job.
They're constantly running. Like, that's the thing that struck me the whole beginning. They're just endlessly running from one thing to another and going fishing and running and getting stuff. And they just seem like regular boys. They're freckle-faced. You just can't imagine what's going on.
Well, definitely effective. So it clocks in at number 1 on our best twins in horror back to 1972. Got to dig that up. I think I do too. For the other. And that looks ahead to next week, which is going to be slashers, which we need your votes. Keep them coming. We've got some already. Been getting them on Twitter. On Twitter, we're at MaddWolf, MaddWolf, and hit up the hashtag Best Slashers and let us know what's your favorite slashers in horror. You got one, Joy?
I think Nightmare on Elm Street is great.
Okay, Freddie.
It is a good one.
All right, but so we'll get a lot of votes for that, and I'm sure there'll be more coming. But it's Best Slashers. Hit us up on Twitter, and also we've got Kiwi horror down the line. We've got Stephen King. We're going to get into a little more deeply about Stephen King's resume on a future podcast, and also we want to give another plug for the next edition of Fright Club Live, which is coming up on October the 14th, Gateway Film Center here in Columbus, and we're going to do the podcast live in front of a studio audience.
That's right. First time we're gonna record it right there before we watch the absolutely great Kiwi movie Housebound, which I know Joy loves.
I love that movie.
And it's even more fun to see with a crowd. So we're looking forward to everybody coming out and taking part in this because we're going to be live without a net recording a podcast. So again, that's October 14th. Hope to see you there. And also we've got our yearly Halloween movie a day countdown coming up, Hope.
That's right. It's going to start on MaddWolf.com, October the 1st, obviously. We're going to throw another great horror movie at you just for your consideration. If you're just like tooling around, it's Tuesday in October, what am I going to watch? I know, I'm going to check out MaddWolf.com and see what they tell me to watch.
So keep the comments coming. MaddWolf on Twitter. Joy, you're on Twitter. What's your handle?
Joy Madden VT.
Vermont.
She's a Vermonster.
Representing. And we've got the Golden Spiral Media buddy, Corey Metcalf.
Senior Aussie correspondent.
We're going to be helping him out with his triple cast coming up here soon.
Yeah, the whole month of October, 3 weeks in October.
Woo!
And we're going to talk about crazy slasher sequels.
Slashers getting some love.
Yeah.
Here on cross-promoting with the Golden Spiral Media podcast.
Well, Corey is going to help us do our slasher podcast. He's going to co-host our slasher podcast, and we're going to do likewise with his...
It all fits together.
It does.
All right. Well, Joy, we appreciate it. Any last words?
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
Thanks for joining, Joy. Smooch the girls for us.
We will.
Next week, Best Slashers. And until then...
I'm Hope Madden.
And I'm George Wolf. This is the Fright Club Podcast.
Stay frightful, my friends.